Maybe you are one of the people who saw some videos on YouTube Shorts, Reels, or TikTok, and came across some weird people displaying some non-traditional keyboards that put so much emphasis on how they feel and sound. And you start to wonder, what is all this hype about? When it comes to computer, most people first focus is always on the components. How powerful the CPU is, how much memory it has, how quickly data is transferred, or how responsive and how wide the monitor is. And most likely, they just throw in a regular keyboard and a mouse and call it a day. But when you think about it, the keyboard and mouse are the most common tools that you touch and feel all the time to interact with the computer. Over the years, the game industry expanded to include gaming keyboards and mice, and they took it to a whole new levels. Companies such as Razer, Corsair, Logitech, and Mad Cat come to mind. The keyboard, however, was frequently the peripheral that they paid the least attention to, and Mainframe keyboards were frequently chosen because of their lower cost. If you don't know what a Mainframe keyboard is, you probably used one before, but you didn't know what it was called. Here's a quick browse on Google, and there are the keyboards that usually come bundled when you purchase a computer. The advantage of this Mainframe keyboard is, of course, their low cost. The keys are not separated and are covered by a transparent, soft plastic that has a very little movement, making it portable and providing protection from damage and dirt. But on the other hand, they are not widely popular, especially in the gaming industry, because of their inaccuracy and slow typing speed. And here comes the mechanical keyboard, which gamers have praised for its accuracy and layout. I remember about 6 years ago when I was living in Guangzhou, China, that I used to live near the computer city of Guangzhou. This is when I first discovered the world of mechanical gaming keyboards. Basically, in this computer city of Guangzhou, you will find all sorts of computer devices, including wholesale, retail, and all kinds of peripherals. Let me show you my first mechanical keyboard that I bought in this Guangzhou computer city in 2016. The trend for most gaming keyboard were using German cherry switches, and there were 3 major switches on the market: the blue, brown, and red. So let me quickly introduce the most common type of switch in the market, which is still true today. The blue, which is the clicky switches, are very clicky and loud. At first, these switches were the favorite for typing since they were clicky and provided satisfactory feedback. In the early days of the 2000s, these were by far the most popular, and gaming companies like Razer were the early adopters of the mechanical keyboard with the Black Widow series with these blue clicky switches. As time went on, the loudness became too distracting for the gamers, and for some, they prefer the brown, the tactile switches, which are the type of switch that has the clicky sound taken off but had little bump for the tactile feedback. The brown switches were more favorable in the office environment since they don't have a loud clicky sound. This is one of my early keyboards that I purchased from Amazon, the TechWorth Phantom 87 with brown switches, and I had a terrific first taste of the tactile switches. The red linear switches were my go-to type of switches during my brief exploration of the gaming mechanical keyboards world. Essentially, this is the smoothest type of switch with no clicky or tactile pump from top to bottom. This became the most popular for gamers because of their smoothness and feel, my friend. And this is exactly how I began my journey towards the mechanical keyboards rabbit hole. The second aspect that I started to figure out, and this is also true for those that are new to the mechanical keyboard, is the layout. You may wonder why there are numbers associated with many keyboards nowadays, such as the 60, 65, 75, 80, the 90, TKL, and full size. These numbers simply mean the number of keys on the keyboard, and TKL means the 10 keyless, which means they don't have the 10 number pad keys that are usually on the full-size keyboard. In today's trend, especially in the gaming industry, the keyboard is starting to move toward being smaller in size so that the mouse can be placed closer to the keyboard. That could be especially beneficial for first-person shooter games such as Call of Duty and Overwatch. The function keys that are typically seen in keyboard with a larger layout are not present in the 60 and 65 form factor size of the keyboard. Therefore, in order to reach the function keys on the top row, you will need to use a combination of keys such as Control, the function or the shift together with other keys. In addition, the missing arrow keys on the smaller keyboard are also commonly replaced by using combination of keys depending on the manufacturer. For my personal preference, if you are an old-timer gamer that loves RTS games such as StarCraft, you will probably know why you can't live without the function keys for your macro camera settings. So that is why my preference for keyboard layout will be at least a 75 key layout or TKL. The RGB lights that come with this gaming mechanical keyboard were also a major reason gamers were attracted to it, since there were many customization options you could change to your liking. Once you start to understand the basics such as switches and the layout, the next easiest part to explore will be the keycaps. A keycap is a tiny piece of plastic, metal, or other material that is placed over a computer keyboard key switch. In the present, most keycaps are made of plastic, and the common types you find on the market are usually ABS or BBT. In short, the BBT keycaps are usually more expensive to produce than the ABS plastic. However, depending on the type of finishes of ABS, it could sometimes feel and be more expensive than BBT. The typical ABS keycaps over time tend to wear down and develop a greasy or shiny look after usage. You typically have to buy PBT separately or pay a premium for many keyboards because it costs more to develop and source PBT. It's considerably more challenging to work with and to create because it is more stiff and brittle than ABS, which results in less wear and tear over time. PBT keycaps may be used continuously for a particularly long time before they start to degrade. PBT keycaps are distinguished by their texture, sometimes sadly feel. PBT keycaps that cost more have nicer texture than those that cost less. The type of finish is sometimes referred to as matte, as it is less shiny than ABS and thicker. This is a very short description of the type of keycap material that is on the market. I will probably have another video in the future to go into detail about the finishes and brands and why a set of keycaps could cost $100 or more. On a side note, if you treat it as art, there are many places to go, such as keycap artisans. They are very specific niche crafts. This may be accomplished in a number of ways using various handcrafting methods, such as the polymer clay, the 3D printing, resin casting, metal casting, injection molding, CNC machining, and others. Currently, there are many interesting artisan keycaps on the market with some favorite anime design or interesting figures. Now you probably know where I'm getting at. There are endless possibilities for this keyboard hobby or niche, and yet I just scratched the surface. You notice that I just briefly spoke about the stuff that you could quickly change without going too technical, when there is another side of the world with tons of possibility for modifications to the keyboard. By no means am I an expert in mechanical keyboards, but I would love to document how I got started, and perhaps you could join me on this journey. If you are like me, you will probably pick up a thing or two along the way, and hey, you may like it better than I do. And I hope you could help me out by liking the video and subscribing to my channel so that we could grow together and enjoy the ride. I had to admit that at first I didn't understand how building a mechanical keyboard or custom keyboard could be a trend or even a hobby. To think about it, most of the traditional collectibles in the past, such as sport cards, Pokemon cards, comics, etc., were all based on some fans that collect them, which over time became a hobby. Custom keyboards are not that much different, and in fact, I think this could stay for a longer time since there are too many components that make it different in the sound and feel of a keyboard, and it is subjective to anyone, which makes it very personal. So far, I mentioned a lot about mechanical keyboards, and that is heavily influenced by the gaming brands where they manufacture many pre-built mechanical keyboards and distribute them to stores such as Best Buy, Staples, and computer gaming or electronic stores. The trend expanded when they introduced hot swap capability for keyboard switches. This simply means that instead of picking one of the three offerings of switches that I mentioned before, the blue, brown, or red, with these hot swap features, you could buy different type of switches and change them with the same keyboard, and like that they added one customization on top of just changing the keycaps. You then take a step further and truly fall down the rabbit hole when you come across the world of custom keyboards. Yes, this is the most technical or nerdy aspect of all. You start to understand how keyboards are put together and what goes into a customizable keyboard. Parts such as the keyboard case, the plate, PCB, the circuit board, stabilizers, switches, keycaps, and modifiers are all worth talking about when customizing your keyboard. On top of that, it is not easy to get these parts because they are not in the mainstream stores, and that require effort to join communities such as the Discord server or Reddit forums to find where and when you could get specific part or even custom keyboards. To be fair, it is not easy for small manufacturers to mass produce custom keyboards since they don't know how many people will buy them. So the typical way is by using the option you might have heard of, group buy. By using this method, the small manufacturer could then produce it according to the order size. However, the downside is that it may take a few months or even years to get your product. The good news is that this hobby is a little bit more mature at the moment, and the turnaround time is getting better, but it still requires a long time. Either that would be something that you could accept, or you would prefer to get what the store has in stock. It is all up to the buyers. I feel like I covered most of the fundamentals, and maybe it is getting a little longer in this video than I want it to be. I would prefer to end it here, and make sure you turn on the notification bell so that it can notify you when my next video is up. Stay tuned for the next video, in which I will most likely go over the component for the custom keyboard in greater detail. I hope you have a nice day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.